Now, another challenge is, and I think you touched briefly on that, the facilities in CPS. A lot of the buildings are old, they need a lot of work, whether it's lighting, whether it's heating, air conditioning, you name it, and not to mention a lot of the resources that the students need. And also, the environment is important. A lot of the new buildings have to be environmentally friendly, and the ones that are old need a lot of work on that. So, how do you fix it?
Just the way we did in the 1990s. When I was school board president, we had the largest school construction program in the nation. We spent nearly $3.3 billion to build 65 new schools, all of which met environmental LEED certification, all of which had gym and other facilities inside of them, and we renovated 400 more school buildings. You want to talk about an environmental impact? When I was up at the Brentano School off of the Kennedy Expressway before we did the renovation, the noise from the expressway and the drafts that were coming in through the old windows were intolerable for children. You can't teach in that environment. What did we do? We renovated that building with tuck pointing, new windows, and a new roof, and it's an entirely a different situation right now. But we can do better. We can do better. Here's what I would suggest. We have to look at multiple use facilities as we build our schools going forward. This can't just be about building a school anymore. We have to look to combine school park facilities. We have to look at elongating the hours of usage that our facilities see. We can't close the building at 3, 4 o'clock. Those buildings should stay open until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Now, how are we going to do this? We're going to have to get a lot smarter about this because they're going to say, oh, how are you going to pay for it? Everything that we suggest in life, you can always add the comma, and how are you going to pay for it? If that's the way we're going to live our lives, I suggest you shut down the farm now and we go home. You can't do that. You have to think outside the box. You have to challenge conventional wisdom. You have to think about using your resources differently. You have to look at partnering up with not-for-profit organizations like they did at Gale School with the Boys and Girls Club. You can do more with less, but you have to be entirely creative. But I think that you have to build multiple-use facilities that can be used for longer hours and really make them anchors in neighborhoods so that people look to these places as true beacons, as safe havens.
So thinking outside the box and considering that capital funding is always the issue,
Yeah.
How will you use the resources that we have to get the money that you need to make all these improvements?
Well, this is one of the reasons that you don't want to throw the TIF program out entirely, because the single largest recipient of TIF funds over the last 10 years has been the Chicago Public Schools. I think we have to be smarter in the way we use those TIF funds so that we have even more of a neighborhood-centered development effort. And then you have to look at additional ways to build facilities. Just as an example, I'm not saying we're going to do this, but you have to be creative. The CTA just built a brand new subway stop at North and Clybourne. You know how much it cost the CTA? From what I can tell, nothing. They did a joint venture program with Apple, and Apple gave the CTA $4 million for the new building on top of the subway stop. And all Apple said was, hey, let me use the remaining land to build a new Apple store. Now you're telling me that we can't look at sponsorship, we can't look at other means of raising revenue, concession sales, to help pay for the cost of some of these facilities. I think you can. You want to be careful because we don't want to subject children to an overdose of advertising or anything like that. But if we don't start to think creatively about how to partner with the private sector and the not-for-profit sector, we're never going to get anywhere. This is a different world right now. Capital's in shorter supply. So you have to figure out how to develop money in new ways. But I think it can be done. The CTA just gave us a great model at North and Clybourne. I think we have to explore more of those types of programs.